the thing that I kind of wanted to, talk about too is because, you mentioned how you decided like, okay, let's, get this one show out of the way. Let's kind of go from there. But, you had this first era of MLW, in the early 2000s when you first started it. And then that went away. Then again, we mentioned that break of 13 years and then relaunching it. What would you say is the major difference between like what you're doing in terms of like strategy or, just like what's the biggest difference be with the first version of MLW to now?
Well, you have so many different things on so many different levels. Just recruiting and scouting talent's totally different than it was in 2002, 2004. You had a lot of great talent. Guys like CM Punk were coming through MLW back then. Samoa Joe, Davey Boy Smith, T.J. Wilson, Chris Hero, all these guys. Now you have Twitter and you have social media. You can go on Instagram and watch a clip of someone like, oh my God, that guy's going to be huge. That guy's going to be great. I remember when we first discovered MJF, he was working a show in Florida and we saw like a YouTube clip and we're like, oh my God, this guy's going to be a big player. So those kind of things are great because you used to have to just look at VHS tape and constantly just be a slave to watching VHS tape, which back then was a real pain. So that's one thing that's nice. It's super convenient. You can be sitting there in bed and you find the next big thing. You're like, oh my gosh, let me DM this guy. And boom, boom. It's really easy to do it. And then like from a revenue point of view, you now have the opportunity to hit not just TV, but streaming, and then international is a whole different animal now than it was when I was doing it back then. So there's a lot of different ways to make your money. Some businesses, some wrestling companies, depending on where they are, like in Mexico, a lot of their businesses their revenue comes from sponsors, and then ticket sales are secondary, and they don't really, the media rights are a different thing. In the States, some companies are driven on ticket sales. They live and die on that, or streaming pay-per-view through Fight, or a streaming deal or a linear deal. And so it's so much more complicated and there's so many more slices of the pie now than there was when I was a kid doing this. And I think it's better. And I think that's why wrestling has been able to endure and grow despite more competitors entering the marketplace. There's just more ways to make money.